In this lesson, I'm going to talk about and also show you what the IP version 6 is all about. So what is the Internet Protocol version 6, which is basically a new generation of IP addressing for the Internet. The IP version 6 solves many of the limitations of IP4, and one of the main aspect or limitation is the fact that IP version 4 addresses are running out. So that's one of the main reasons why they came up with IP version 6. Important reason why they came up with IP version 6 was the aspect of security. It's more secure. So the addresses are basically represented as 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits, which is a little different from the IP version 4. It's important to note that it's not backward compatible. So if your network has and being deployed using IP version 6, it's not compatible with IP version 4. And there are millions and millions of networks and computers on the internet that actually use IP version 4. The V6 version is a 128-bit stream, while the V4 version is only a 32-bit stream. So here you can see the power of IP version 6. It also allows 4.3 billion IP addresses. IP version 6 allows 340 undecillion addresses, so it's huge. Here are the components that actually make up the IP version 6. They're primarily broken down into 3 parts. First is the site prefix, subnet ID is the second one, and then the interface ID. So the first 3 groups of the numbers that define the actual network is called the site prefix. The subnet ID basically defines the individual subnet of the network that the address is located on, and the interface ID is the individual host IP portion. So the IPv6 address looks something like this, right? So it'll have the site prefix first, and then it'll contain the actual subnet ID and then the interface ID itself. So fairly long address, and the reason why is because the sheer number of growth of internet and then the number of computers and the hosts on the internet. You can also have a dual IP stack, for instance. So a dual IP stack would exist when there are 2 Internet Protocol software implementations within an operating system or on your network, one for IPv4 and the other for IPv6. The dual stack IP hosts can run on both versions independently, or they can be implemented in a hybrid situation, which is the most commonly used method for modern operating systems. So either you can use version 4 or 6, or you can use them together and slowly and gradually grow into the IP version 6 environment. Next, let me in fact show you what these IP addresses look like on your computer so you can actually see the difference between the version 4 and version 6 implementation. So let me go ahead and switch to my networking properties. So here I've just opened up my network connections, and one of the network connections that I'm just going to pick any one of them. For example, how about the Wi-Fi connection here? Just right click on the connection, click on properties, and this brings up the properties dialog box. If I scroll down, notice I'll have both the IP version 4 and then of course the 6 as well. So 6 being the latest version of the Internet Protocol that provides communication across diverse interconnected networks, whereas the V4 is simply the Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, and is the default wide area network protocol. It also provides the communication across diverse interconnected networks. So they serve the same purpose. One is just powerful and the other one is just widely used. So if I were to click on the IPv6 and click on properties, in this instance, notice it has the same IP address. The IPv6 address is fairly long because you have to specify the format. And then here's the subnet prefix length, right? Is one of the requirements of creating an IPv6 environment. Whereas if I were to check the V4, for example, so let's cancel out of here. Let's click on V4 quickly. Click on properties. Here I just have a simple IP address, subnet mask, and then of course the default gateway. So you can see the difference between the version 4 and version 6. And once again, one of the main reasons why the IPv6 is not being implemented is because of several reasons. So let's take a look at some of these reasons next. Let me switch to the slides. First, of course, the internet is made up of millions of routers, for example, and switches. These are physical devices. Those were initially designed, in fact, to work with the IP version 4. So just the mere replacement and upgrading of all of this hardware is going to take time and budget. So it's very, very expensive to move and shift everything to the IPv6 quickly. So during the design of the version 6 protocol, backward compatibility was not on the list. So here's another shortcoming where it's not easily integrated to the IP version 4. It's not backward compatible. The IP version 6, initially released in 1998, by the way, extends the total number of addresses to more than 7.9 times 10 to the power of 28 times. That's a huge number, decillion, right? As IP4 does. The IP4 address exhaustion was one of the major drivers to, in fact, come up with this IP version 6 framework. So in this lesson, I just wanted to talk about the V4 and V6 so you have a better understanding of both of these environments. So hope this helps. Let's move to the next lesson.